The canvas stared back, blank, taunting. For months it had been a white void, reflecting every single doubt, every single past mistake Maya couldn't escape. Her studio, once a vibrant explosion of color and creation, felt like a tomb. Unfinished sculptures gathered dust, sketches of forgotten dreams lay crumpled on the floor. The bills were piling up as fast as the doubt. Rent was due, savings were gone, art was supposed to be her escape. Now it felt like her failure, keeping score. Another gallery had said no, politely, predictably. Each rejection confirmed the voice in her head that had been right all along. Maybe she just wasn't good enough. It wasn't just the art, it was everything. A toxic relationship years ago had left an emotional scar that just wouldn't heal, a constant whisper of not good enough. She felt trapped, bound by invisible chains to a past that refused to stay buried. Every step forward felt like pulling against an immense, unseen weight. Then came the knock. 3 sharp raps, familiar and unwavering. Elias, her old mentor, he never just visited, he arrived with purpose. Elias surveyed the studio, his eyes missing nothing. The blank canvas, the dust, the quiet resignation in Maya's posture. He just nodded, slowly. "Still wrestling ghosts, Maya?" His voice was a low rumble, kind but direct. "Some battles aren't won by fighting them head-on, they're won by letting them go." He pulled a bag from his satchel. "Here, special clay. Sculpt something, anything, but it must represent a memory you hold on to too tightly." Maya stared at the clay. It felt dry, brittle. "What's special about it?" she asked, a hint of suspicion in her voice. Elias just smiled. "You'll see." She decided to sculpt him, her ex, the face that haunted her dreams, the source of so much pain, a memory she clung to, even as it poisoned her present. But the clay wouldn't hold. Every delicate detail, every attempt at perfection crumbled. A nose fell off, an eye dissolved into dust. Frustration boiled. She tried harder, pressing, molding, willing the form to stay. But the more she tried to control it, the faster it disintegrated. Elias watched from the doorway. "You can't hold sand in a closed fist, Maya. The tighter you squeeze, the more escapes." The message hit her. This clay wasn't meant to hold, it was meant to teach, to force a different approach, to release. She spent days with the crumbling clay, sculpting fleeting moments, a laugh, a shared glance. Each time she watched it dissolve, practicing the art of non-attachment. It was painful. Each collapse felt like a small grief. But with each loss, a tiny crack of light appeared, a whisper of freedom. Next, Elias brought her to the beach. "Today, Maya, you'll sculpt with sand, something beautiful, and you'll leave it for the tide." This was different, not crumbling in her hands, but destined for inevitable erasure, a more profound lesson in impermanence. She built a magnificent sandcastle adorned with shells and pebbles, her masterpiece, and then she watched the first ripple reach its base. Each wave stole a piece, a tower, a wall. The intricate details vanished, with them a tiny piece of her stubborn attachment to outcomes. By the time the tide receded, only a smooth, wet patch of sand remained, a blank slate, and in Maya, a quiet sense of peace she hadn't known in years. She sat there a long while, writing down what she felt, not to fix it, not to explain it, just to notice it. Maybe that was the whole point. Elias's next challenge was even more abstract. "Sculpt the space between things, Maya. Define something by its absence." How do you sculpt nothing? It forced her to think differently, to see the value not just in what is as present, but in what isn't. This meant defining herself not by her past relationships or failures, but by the space they no longer occupied, the freedom their absence created. She started by clearing her studio, old journals, unfinished pieces she'd clung to, hoping to fix them, each item a tiny anchor to a past self. Each decision to let go was a small victory. The studio began to breathe, and so did she. Around this time, she met Leo, a musician, kind eyes, an easy laugh. For the first time, she felt a flicker of connection without the usual panic. He invited her to an open mic. She almost said no, out of habit, but she went, and for 2 songs, she forgot to be afraid. But the old fears lingered, the attachment, the vulnerability. Elias noticed her hesitation. One night, she almost canceled on him, made up an excuse. Old habits whispered that leaving first hurt less than being left. Attachment isn't the enemy, Maya, Elias said softly. It's unconscious attachment, the kind that binds you without your consent. Choose to connect, but choose wisely. His words were a compass. She could embrace connection, but with open eyes, with awareness. She could build something new without repeating the past. So instead of pulling away, she told him about the ex, the scars, the fear that still lived in her chest. Every word felt like handing him a weapon. He didn't flinch. He didn't leave. He just took her hand, and for once, being truly seen didn't feel like danger. Then came the final, most challenging task, a self-portrait, Maya. But use only materials you've never touched, and it must be ugly. Ugly? Her entire life, she'd strived for beauty, for acceptance. This felt like a betrayal of everything she stood for. But Elias insisted. Beauty is a cage, Maya. Break free from its expectations. Show me your truth, raw and unvarnished. Halfway through, doubt crept back in. What if this was pointless? What if uglies just meant giving people one more reason to reject her? This time, Elias didn't step in. Not this one, he said quietly. This one you finish alone. And he simply watched her decide. She spent weeks struggling with the strange materials, twisted wire, rough fabric, unyielding stone. It wasn't about skill, it was about honesty. She built a self-portrait. Not beautiful, not conventionally pleasing. It was raw, jagged, a reflection of the struggles, the scars, the imperfections. She felt vulnerable, exposed. This was her without the filters, without the masks she'd worn for so long. There's a group show downtown, Elias said. Submit it. Let strangers see what I saw. Maya's stomach dropped at the thought. What if strangers agreed it was ugly? What if this time there was no one to tell her it was real? She hovered over the button for a long time. She displayed it in her studio first, open for Elias's critique. Her heart pounded. This was it, her truth, ugly or not. Elias looked at it for a long time, not with judgment, not with praise, just recognition. It's not ugly, Maya, he finally said. It's honest, it's real. A wave of relief washed over her, not because he approved, but because she had dared to create it, to present it, to accept it. She clicked submit that night. Opening night arrived. The gallery gleamed with polished pieces, each one careful and composed. Maya walked in carrying something that was neither. Her piece looked nothing like the others. No polish, no perfection, just raw wire and rough stone, standing alone in a room of smooth surfaces. A stranger stopped in front of it, didn't move for a long moment, just stood there, hand over their chest, as if the sculpture had said something only they understood. Then another stopped, and another. No one called it ugly, they called it honest. They said it felt like looking in a mirror they didn't know they needed. She began a new series, incorporating the lessons of impermanence, of absence, of raw, unvarnished honesty. Her art began to flow again. She cultivated her relationship with Leo, not with clinging, but with presence, with respect for the space between them as much as the connection. The past still existed, of course, but it no longer defined her. It was a part of her story, not the whole story. She revisited the blank canvas, the one that had held her captive for so long. Now, it felt different, not terrifying, but inviting. She picked up her brush, and this time, she didn't try to sculpt perfection. She didn't try to erase the past. She painted her truth. Colors flowed, forms emerged, not just beautiful, but authentic. A landscape of emotional resilience, born from the lessons of crumbling clay and shifting sand. Her art became a testament to the courage it takes to let go, to the freedom found in embracing impermanence. Months passed. The studio that once felt like a tomb now overflowed with light, plants, and finished work. It had become a place she wanted to be. One afternoon, a young artist came to her, paralyzed by their own blank canvas. Maya recognized the look immediately. She sat down beside them. Some battles, she said, aren't won by fighting them head-on. Letting go was never about forgetting. It was about making room for peace, for love, for the person you become when you finally stop holding on.